Boys, it's finally time. We are giving Knull the juiciest build you've ever seen. Not that there's anything wrong with a brilliant CTP of Conquest. It's a great build, very good for PvP, but we've got this brilliant greed here where he's going to rip even harder than before. And a couple of things to note with this CTP in particular. Of course, you want the ambush proc at the top. Even if it's a mighty, you want the ambush proc for sure. But what I want you to focus on, for example, this one's 35%, it's still very good. What I want you to focus on is the rolls at the bottom. Increase damage dealt to speed and universal first, or combat and blast first. You want speed universal first. This is going to be better against both PvP and PvE. Because in PvP, it means he's going to pop off and deal a huge burst damage at the start to enemy Knulls and enemy sentries and other universal types. But it also means, as I'm about to show you for PvE content, he's going to deal more burst damage sooner and faster to most of the world bosses. Now, before I show you this super secret tech that I've developed specifically around Knull, I just have to showcase for you two different skills so that you can see what's going on under the hood before it's happening in fight versus the boss. The first one is Knull's second skill, which is a full iframe with priority, and it lasts a really long time. You basically only have to cancel it when you see those spikes come up, okay? And it's a short cooldown skill, so you're going to be spamming this a lot. Then you have his fifth skill, again, full iframe priority, that lasts until he drops back down. So you don't need to cancel it again until you actually see the camera visibly drop down. Then the third piece of tech is, you guessed it one more time, priority iframe on his tier 3 that lasts a hell of a long time and that you only need to cancel after you've seen him pull and sort of flex. And you actually don't even need to cancel at that point. You can play this skill out for a really long time if need be, because the animation is a full uninterrupted iframe. So really, it's only when you see the explosion that you have to cancel it. Now, what does all that mumbo jumbo about priority iframes and canceling animations really mean, Alex? Well, let me show you. We're going to start with this stage 9 of Black Swan. And this boss in particular is irritating to players because of the constant phase shifting that she goes through, where she does different things. And essentially in the second half of the fight, once you get her HP down, you kind of are at the mercy of her, animation canceling you into her own iframes. So I thought, what better thing to do than to give her a taste of her own medicine. So you can see here we're pretty close to the second phase. I'm going to just ignore her because he has iframe ignore on these skills, and I can just continuously do damage to her and spam the second skill. This was sort of the thing that gave me my first little bit of hope for the second skill and how powerful it is. So in this phase that we're about to be cutscened into, she's going to iframe by jumping up and laser eyeing us, and then after a brief window, she's going to iframe again to create those walls. What if I told you that instead of doing that, she's just going to stand here and do absolutely nothing? I'm going to chain between the fifth skill and the second skill and the tier 3 skill, and she's just going to stand here and do absolutely nothing. That's right. And I'm going to continue to deal damage to her. I'm going to break her shield in a second here, and she is going to do nothing. Did you see that? Where was the jump up to do the that laser eye thing? Where did it go? Nowhere. And now we've skipped that entire phase of annoying BS, and we're here. And you can replicate this with any stage, as long as you can deal enough damage to eventually break her shield and then eventually kill her, because you're still bound by the timer of the fight, right? But as long as you can do enough damage to actually kill her at the end, you can completely skip that entire phase, because you'll just chain between 2, 5, 2, 5, 2, 5, 2, 6 for a long time, and then 2, 5, and you'll just repeat that combo of 2 and 5, and then 6, and then 2 and 5, until you break her shield. And the whole time, she's just standing there, just taking hits. It is amazing. Now, is it the most efficient way to play Black Swan? Maybe not. Maybe not. But is it fun as hell? And is it OP as hell because you basically get to completely ignore a mechanic? Yes. Yes, it is. Want another example? What about that pesky Jean Grey who has that annoying opening rotation where she dashes or iframes you? You can just completely ignore that. In the case of dashing, you have enough AoE to just hit her through it. And in the case of the dash where she jumps up, she actually won't do it because she doesn't have you as a target. And this is basically what this boils down to, is when you're in a priority iframe and Knull has 3 of them with 2, 5, and 6, the bosses don't know how to react. And so they just sort of stand there. You can see here after the dash, we're going to unload our regular combo, but now I'm in a priority iframe with 5. So she doesn't know where I am. Now I'm in 2, now I'm in 5. She's supposed to start the next part of her rotation, but she can't because she doesn't know where I am. There she finally did it, but otherwise you can do this to actually soak up, like basically force the boss to soak up a bunch of extra damage and a bunch of extra rotations. And so imagine if instead of using this greed, I was using a rage and I was generating so much more damage on my my rotations rather than a greed where I'm doing less damage. You'd be able to basically just AFK the boss for the entire fight because of the fact that you're constantly in this priority iframe. And there are even situations in which you can skip this part of the fight here that I'm doing with these animations. And you can see, look at the burst damage on the greed. It's almost enough to finish this fight in under 90 seconds. Best of all, greed build Knull is still strong enough to hit good scores in ABL while replacing someone as annoying to play as Loki and doing so much more for you in pretty much all other content. So yeah, I think this is one of the best builds for Knull. Obviously, other people will have their own opinions about it, but yeah, 17, 1.7 million or whatever it is plus is so solid for the first opener. And the third skill has has those hits throughout. So yeah, if this is not the second coming of Jean, I genuinely don't know what is. This is just too good, man. Use the V-pad skill to collect the energy. It's just so crispy, man. Pop the next rotation. Just go crazy style on him. Just just Zaza style completely. Popping that Ghost Rider every single rotation. You absolutely love to see it. The only BS maybe is the light spawning far away, but it doesn't matter because you're Knull and you can just go and collect the light. Yes, sir. Oh, gone are the days of resetting because you're playing as Loki and the light spawned a little bit out of your way, so it screwed your entire run. Yeah, eat my ass, bro. With the rage, we're clocking almost 6 million. Yeah. So good, dude. So good. And imagine, I have a 3-star artifact. If this was a 6-star artifact, he'd be hitting even harder because Surtur is a villain. So, yeah, I gotta say, boys, this is really where it's at. This is really where it's at. So easy to play, man. It's just so good. Oh, did I mention there's one more piece of tech? I forgot. I totally forgot, guys. I'm so sorry. There's one more piece of tech I forgot to show you that Knull has that pretty much no other character has. Because maybe you're thinking to yourself, okay, this score's not that good, Alex. I'm just going to keep playing with Loki or whoever else. Fine. You're going to keep playing with Farmer Thanos. That's cool, bro. I'll be honest, the score is not, like, mind-blowing. It's certainly not as high as I think Jean gets with Agreed on her days. So I still think for certain content, Jean is kind of a little bit untouchable. Except for this one piece of tech. So in the 2 phases of the fight in ABL, when Surtur goes into the middle and he does this move where he explodes the screen and you have to cancel it by doing the ability. What if I just pressed the 5th skill and I didn't do the ability? Oh, what's that? I don't get any debuffs whatsoever? Yeah, that's right, guys. Knull has a special ability where he cleanses himself of all debuffs with his 5th skill. That includes the debuffs that Surtur gives you when you don't cancel. Now, Surtur still gets buffs. He still gets a damage reduction buff, so that's not good. But for those of you that are struggling with ABL and getting hit and you can't cancel, and for whatever reason, you know, you're on a day where you have a character that can't cancel because your account is not built up or whatever yet, you can literally just ignore it with Knull. You can literally just ignore all of what the boss does, and you can still get a good score. Is it going to be as good a score as it would be if you did actually cancel? No, it's not going to be as good. In this case, is it maybe not the best comparison because I know that Knull has Fracture on his third skill and it's right there? Yeah, sure. But the fact of the matter is, for players who struggle with this content, this is basically like an easy mode, a cheat code mode button that allows you to skip the worst part of that buff, debuff that Searcher hits you with, that otherwise cripples your character and forces you to reset your run. For example, let's say I was playing with Loki, and for whatever reason, something happened and I couldn't press my second skill to cancel the boss. I would still get my score, sure, but when it explodes, I'm going to take these insane debuffs, and you can see right above my finger, like if you go look up, and right next to Ronin, there are these two blue icons that have 1799 on them. That is, what is it, like, it's like 20 minutes, 30 minutes? It's these insanely long debuffs. It's 1,800 seconds. So it's something like, it's like 30 minutes or something like that. It's an insanely long debuff. And this debuff is going to reduce pierce damage that I deal to enemies, and it's going to reduce my critical damage by 100%. This completely ruins the fight and the run. And if you're wondering, oh, but what if Loki just dies and you just switch to the character? No, the buff is permanent. The debuff is permanent. It lasts on any character that you switch to. It doesn't matter who has the debuff. They will carry it with them. So it just basically completely ruins your run, and you can't do anything else. And your score is going to be crippled, and you're just going to be able to do nothing. And this is literally something that every character will get punished with, except for Knull. So, because of all these reasons, man, I think he's the sickest character in the game. I love this kind of secret hidden tech that he can abuse that other characters can't. It just makes him feel so unique and special when you're playing him. And although I'll probably never use the ABL one, it's really nice that players who are still new to the game mode have that as like a catch-all and a sort of like a safety net to avoid, completely tanking their score. And then, of course, for players who have to, clutch a score really quickly and they don't have time to reset, they can use that as kind of a safety net as well. On the other hand, for the other, World Boss Legend tech where I can just skip the boss's animations, I'm actively using that every single day that I play Black Swan at the very minimum, because that phase is super annoying, and the fact that you can just chain through his abilities to break her shield means that I'm using him every single time I'm queuing up for stage 19. I don't use this team in this case. I actually use Thanos. It takes a little bit longer. It takes me about 2 minutes or 3 minutes, but he easily breezes through it, and he plays it in such a unique way because I focus more on my timing than what the boss is doing, because the boss is just standing there looking at Knull's amazing armor. So yeah, I wanted to share that with you guys today. This is probably the build I'm going to be keeping on Knull for the time being. So if you want to know how the PvP journey is going, we're switching to a more offensive build to try to just shred through enemies and see where that takes us. Anyways, guys, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Smash the like button if you enjoyed the content. Thumbs down if you hated it. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care.